The Chiefs were knocking on the door for the first round bye. Could they lock it up against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
People were worried about Netflix and the streams today. What they should have been worried about was the quality of this game. Baltimore looking great. Houston, we have a problem.
Merry Christmas, Sunday Scaries faithful. The NFL gave us what we thought was going to be a nice present under the tree of a doubleheader on this joyous day. But Sunday Scaries with Bucks McGee, maybe it wasn't all the joy we thought. We'll go over it.
We sat there and said, NFL, why would you do this to the NBA on Christmas? Like, why steal the thunder? And actually, I don't think they stole much. Really, with the quality, don't think they stole much. Nutmeg, Merry Christmas, and I hope your Christmas was as better than these games were.
Merry Christmas, Bucks McGee. Wishes right back to you because we thought we were going to get a big bag of gifts from NFL Santa, and instead, I think we got a couple stockings full of coal.
I just don't know, man. This was rough. This was really rough. Oh Lord. You think with the Chiefs and the Steelers I thought it was gonna be one of those games comes down to the last second. Nope. Russ being Russ, being
Russ beat us.
being Denver Russ. And
Yeah.
then you get the prime time there. Baltimore and Houston. The highlight, probably the halftime show. Point blank, halftime show. And Baltimore just demolishes Texas, just demolishes the Texans. And CJ Stroud looks like he just got into the league. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing could warm my heart better than seeing the Texans struggle right now. Not that we're gonna win the division, but
You know
every
what?
little victory I get.
That's right. When your division foes fall, you take it. You take it.
And obviously, a lot of jokes, I'm sure, going into the week where the Netflix server's going to hold up. I think Netflix almost might be hoping that maybe we should have had some buffering issues to spare everyone from the agony of watching these games.
They were like, why are you treating us like Amazon of last year? That's what these games were like. They were just bad, just horrible.
Hey, you gotta do your duty. You gotta hit the low rung first.
Yeah, at least everything ran well. So there you go. You
Yeah,
got it.
that's true.
I guess you're the new kid on the block. You got to take your lumps a little bit before you get that quality gameplay.
Yeah. Well, speaking of not receiving very many presents, we were hoping our present would be the Chiefs not clinching home field advantage and the first round bye, but I guess the Steelers were not feeling very Santa esque.
Uh, I don't know. I think what it came down to is Russ just wasn't good. He had maybe two or three throws where you thought maybe they were going to turn it around. Uh, Fumbles. I don't think it helped that Joey Porter Jr. gets hurt early in the game. But even with that being said, Chiefs did basically what they wanted to do against the Steelers team for the most part, and they were this. It seemed like the result was never in doubt. It just wasn't the Steelers' day.
What was probably the biggest problem? Turnovers, Russ just looking beyond all sorts of off, or the offense just not really getting a little flow because they really didn't put any drives together.
No, that's what I think. The offense was just putrid. Warren had a couple decent runs, and I thought maybe they would have in the second half gone to him a little more because it seemed like the first half he had the runs, and Najee, was Najee again. Like, he'll have one game when he's good, and it's like, okay, okay, Najee, you're doing your thing, and then he'll have another game where you're like, yep, and this is why they didn't give you that contract, and now you're playing for a contract now. You don't. So I would have liked to see a lot more Warren in the second half, but the offense just wasn't clicking. Now, mind you, the Chiefs didn't. Chris Jones didn't even play today, so I was like, all right, this could be the game where the run game is tough. Solly could get up in there, churn out the yards, long drives, but they were 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. Russ would throw a rainbow every once in a while. Oh, okay, then maybe they're going to turn it around. Nope, 3-and-out. Somebody fumbles. The offense just was just horrible today.
That did give me hope that with Chris Jones not playing, that there may be some success. But I guess the Chiefs' depth is a little better than we give it credit for.
No, it was that and the fact that the Steelers' offense was horrible. At that point, I was like, put in Fields. Let me see what he can do.
Yeah.
Because there was just nothing to the Steelers' offense. And as with anything, and we've said this, the longer your defense is out there, they're going to tire. And at that point, the Chiefs ran their basic offense, and we had a Travis Kelce sighting. And, once he scored, you would have thought it was Chris Collinsworth talking about Mahomes because it was all, Travis Kelce, Travis Kelce. I'm like, good Lord. All right, calm it down, kids. Calm it
down. We should tip our cap to that because I believe that touchdown did surpass Tony Gonzalez on the all-time, or maybe, was it Gonzalez all-time Chiefs touchdown scoring list?
Yep.
I believe
all-time Chiefs record. So yes, kudos to Travis Kelce. Thank goodness we didn't
showed up.
You were there. It wasn't Noah Gray. It wasn't the Noah Gray show, right?
Yeah.
But at the end, that's what it was. The Chiefs were able to, run their offense. Worthy looked decent.
Yeah. Another sighting that we've been looking for all year.
It was a solid offense. It was a solid overall offensive, play by them. There wasn't anyone who really stuck out. They were able to get, production from a lot of people. So they were a pretty balanced offense, but the Steelers just couldn't stop it.
Yeah. And Mahomes, I mean, the ankle, he was still able to the ankle didn't seem like it bothered him too much. He didn't run a whole lot, but he also didn't, this game didn't set him up for his patented 16, 17-yard scamper to set up a game-winning field goal because they were hardly ever in doubt in this one.
Exactly.
Pacheco, you think Pacheco looked fine?
I think he looked all right. Like I said, overall they were solid. They were, there wasn't anything really explosive. I think they had one real explosive play, but overall they were just able to move the ball. And the Steelers a couple times were able to hold them to some 3-and-outs. But when Russ isn't cooking and you're getting nothing, sooner, and especially you're playing the Chiefs, they're going to get you. And at this point, the Steelers had to be at their best offensively, and they were far from it. So the Chiefs didn't have a problem.
Yeah. Mahomes' ankle, of course, notwithstanding. Do you think they really did need this bye outside of Mahomes' ankle, of course?
What they probably could have done was halfway through the third quarter start sitting people,
right?
If they really wanted to. But no, I think all right. Mahomes is a competitor. They weren't going to sit him unless that ankle was really bad. He was going to give it a go. And I think now what you're going to see is since they've secured the number 1 seed, probably they're playing 3 games in 11 days. So probably the next game you might see him. If they really get out to an early lead, pull them, midway through the third or fourth, and you'll see some Carson Wentz.
Forget he's there.
Good old Carson Wentz, looking good on the bench.
Yeah. Shamar Adams, thanks for hopping on. We are getting to those Ravens right now, and this game, as non-competitive as the Chiefs game looked, somehow the Ravens game looked even less competitive. Houston could only manage a safety on the scoreboard, which obviously is not even due to the offense.
I don't know what's happened to CJ Stroud. I don't know what's happened. He's not making throws. There were throws that he would have made last year This year he can't make the off. I don't know what happened to Joe Mixon. Like the offense just fell apart, just totally fell apart. And Lamar was Lamar again. You got to give him credit. Derrick Henry sighting, solid. It was an overall quality offensive showing by the Ravens.
Yeah, we sang up their praises last week because finally, they had a balanced effort where Lamar did his thing and Derrick Henry was an animal. And then we get another game where Lamar does his thing, probably even more so than the previous week, and Derrick Henry was a monster again. Balance, it works, Baltimore.
I'll give the Texans credit. They were able to definitely get some pressure on Lamar, but Lamar handled it beautifully. Numerous times, he literally extended plays. I've never seen a quarterback extend plays like Lamar does. It's incredible, unbelievable. Especially that one when he threw that, was it 67-yard pass to Andrews?
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. There's not enough words to what Lamar does. You can, praise him. Now he's got to go and get to a Super Bowl, because we've seen this before.
Yeah.
And this offense, if it's at its best, I think can give the Chiefs problems. But they've got to go and do it. They have to go and do it. If they don't do it this year, there's going to be questions. But
yeah,
unreal. And the Texans are a mess. And I don't know what the problem is.
Lamar Jackson is slowly starting to fall into Josh Allen's pocket from going back the last several years, where here it is, you've accomplished single thing you can except for beating the Chiefs and getting to the Super Bowl. So he's like starting to fall into that same pattern.
Yeah, and last year they had the number 1 seed. They had it all set for themselves, weren't able to do it. So now this year they're going to have to, they'll probably get a home game. I think they'll get the division. I know they're still fighting for it, but I think they'll win the division. And they're going to have to do it on the road. At this point, the way the AFC is everything goes through Arrowhead. So the Ravens have the talent. They just have to put together a complete game when it comes to playing the Chiefs. Their defense played better. Definitely saw some pass rush. I was impressed with the secondary. Had a couple PI calls, but I think you're going to take that. As long as you're getting a quality rush and 9 out of 10 times incomplete passes, you'll take that. The bigger question here is what's going on with Houston and why is CJ regressed so bad?
Yeah, yeah. To your point, sadly, another year where we have to watch playoffs through Arrowhead. Yeah, and to your point on the division, I mean, it even more so looks like more of a lock for the Ravens now, considering how Pittsburgh has looked for really 3 weeks in a row now. I know they're short weeks with all the Saturdays and the holidays games and all that stuff, but at a certain point, that's really not an excuse.
No, everybody's, there are other teams, going through the same thing. You've got to perform. This is December, January. This is what it's about. If you want to get to the Super Bowl, you want to be that team, you got to win. You got to figure it out. And right now, this is showing that their offense isn't that good, and it's just the Steelers they just don't have it. The Steelers don't have it. Their defense is falling apart. They're tired. Everyone's beat up and banged up. This is what we've talked about. If their offense wasn't going to get any better, that their defense was going to take the hit at the end of the year, and that's exactly what's happened. TJ Watt's hurting. Joey Porter Jr. gets hurt. They're going to limp into the end of the season, and they're going to be a one and done in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask of your defense to be elite every week when your offense is so anemic.
Exactly. And it just, and you can sing the praises of Mike Tomlin, and I get it, but you got to figure out this offense, because if you end up bounced out the first round, I don't care. There better be some questions. What are you going to do to turn this offense around? Is Russ your answer? I don't think he is. If you guys limp like this and get bounced in the first round, I don't think Russ is your answer because all you're going to sit there and do year after year is hang your hat on your defense, and your offense can't even get you 20 points consistently. You can't do that. And you've got guys on this defense that have only got probably another couple years, and then they're going to start to hit the downside of their career. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah, the Haywards, the Watts, all those guys.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the Texans because it makes me so giddy. It makes me so giddy that they got embarrassed like they did. A whopping 2 points.
Thanks to their defense.
Yes. So, I mean, we've kind of had a little bit of fun this season, and certainly probably the media world at large have as well, making fun of who's going to get the NFC West, who's going to get the NFC South. At this point, I think whoever gets the Texans in the first round might get the biggest layup of all.
It's unreal. Like watching that game, it just seemed like CJ was just confused. There was just nothing there. The run game was non-existent. I know with Tank Dell being out and such, but you still have other weapons, and I don't get what's going on. I don't know if maybe CJ's hurt, maybe, and no one's talking about it, or he's just really regressed that bad. But there were multiple throws that I think last year he would have made, but this year, for some reason, just can't make them. And if you just keep going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, doesn't matter. Especially against Baltimore, they're going to put the points up.
Yeah, I mean, and it certainly doesn't look better with seeing the offense struggle like it did, considering the fact that, granted, the Ravens defense has looked better the last few weeks, but this is a defense that was much maligned, and we were making fun of them earlier in the season. So it certainly doesn't look very good that you've got that they had such struggles against a defense that's really had to grow and improve on the fly this season.
Yeah, you got to give Baltimore's defense credit. They're slowly starting to get things together, getting a quality pass rush. They did today. And if, another week or so, if they can continue to improve, they're going to be going into the playoffs feeling really confident. And
Yeah.
if the offense, defense, and special teams are on point like that, the Ravens are going to be a dangerous team. They
Yeah.
are, but the Texans at this point, yeah, they're going to be a one and done in the playoffs. Like, I don't think, the only thing right now working for them is their defense, is their front seven. They get a great rush. They are kind of banged up in the secondary,
Hmm.
but, Will Anderson Jr. is playing incredible. Danielle Hunter's playing great too, but those guys are going to tire out when they're just, constantly on the field.
I feel like the Ravens are going to tease us like they always do. Like, don't play this well and make us think that there's hope to take down the Chiefs, and then don't do it. I mean,
Yeah.
granted,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Like, no, go ahead.
good. Granted, yeah, the opener where they were a toe away from beating them, but and that was again that was with a defense that was pretty much being shredded. So it feels like now that the hope is starting to really set in a little bit.
I'm still not sold. I still have my doubts right now. I still feel at this point Buffalo beat them once, so I think you have to hang your hat on
Yeah.
Buffalo right now. But
Mhm.
offensively, I think Baltimore gives them more trouble because of the weapons they have. So it's gonna be, whoever's defense is playing its best when they walk into Arrowhead is gonna be the team that's gonna, give the Chiefs hopefully, the run for their money.
Buffalo or Baltimore, because we sure as heck can't count on the Steelers anymore, I don't
No, like, yeah, that ship has sailed. So no.
think. So, real quick, let's talk about Thursday since we bumped up our show a day early for this Christmas happenstance. The Seahawks go to the Bears. The Seahawks need to win to set up a win in your end division winner take all matchup against the Rams in the finale. And I really feel, and obviously, so they obviously need this a lot. And I really feel bad for the Bears because this team at one point was 4-2, and it's just been loss after loss after loss after loss, and they're home in this one. So as much as I want that kind of do or die scenario, at some point the Bears just have to get it done. This is terrible.
In a perfect world, yes, sir. But unfortunately, we don't live in one of those, and I don't know. I don't know if they have it to be able to pull the upset. Because in theory, it would be an upset. Let's be honest. No one.
Oh yeah, easily, very easily.
Even though the Bears have a ton of talent, it's you sit there and you're like, yeah, no, no. I think the Seahawks are coming in as a desperate team, and they know they need this game. So I think you're going to see them play a lot better. I think the Hawks win this game. I would be shocked if the Bears were able to figure it all out and throw together a cohesive game. The offseason is going to be vital for them. I think they're going to limp out. They're just going to limp through the rest of the season and then hopefully try to figure out things from coaching all the way down. But the Hawks need this game, and I think they're going to somehow figure out a way to win it.
Yeah, not only is it a desperation situation, but just the fact that they're coming off a very tough loss against the Vikings, so that they really need to pull out all the stops to have an extra long week before to prepare for the Rams.
Yeah, and they will definitely need that week if they can beat the Bears, get all the rest they can, because the Rams are going to be coming in firing. Let's be honest. We've talked about the Rams, and when they're on it, especially offensively, they're a scary team. And I don't think if they make the playoffs, no team wants to play the Rams in the first round. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, it's like a wounded animal. That's what Seattle is right now, going to Chicago. They're a wounded animal, and they know they have to win.
Yeah, it's funny how similar the Rams are from last year to this year. And last year they just got the short end of the stick because they had to play the Lions.
Yeah, exactly. And it was one of those things where it was like, oh man, that sucks. They were like, yeah, we made it. Oh, damn, here we go. But I think it was a learning experience for them, and if they make the playoffs, they're not going to be scared. They're going to go in, and they know that teams don't want to play them. So I think they have a slight bit of an edge in that aspect. The Rams do.
Yeah. What kind of win would you expect from the Seahawks in this Thursday night? Is it going to be a blowout? Are they going to make mincemeat of the Bears, or is it going to be something where they barely survive because of dysfunction and injury, poor inconsistent play, whatever the case may be?
I think the first half will be close. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's kind of ugly, and you're like, "Oh man, Seattle, you guys just don't want this, do you?"
Yeah.
And you sit there because we sit there and we're like, "Okay, you guys know what you got to do. You have this, you've got the mentality. We got to win. We got to win." And then the first half, it ends up being like 10-7, and you're like, "Geez, you guys are going to get bounced." And then next thing you know, Gino will go on a bit of a run, and it'll end up. They'll end up being like a 28-17 type game or something like that. So I think it'll be close at the beginning, but I think the Seahawks, knowing what's at stake, will be able to get it together. The Bears will give it the old college try, but with the way this team's going and Caleb needing, some help there offensively, I think it's going to be another long night.
I hope for Caleb's sake that, assuming that they might wind up bottoming out. I mean, maybe they get some. I know that the Packers are always loving to put a dagger in them, especially when it's the finale. But assuming they just continue to lose out, I'm hoping they get this high draft pick, they'll get some kind of offensive line help for Caleb to kind of beef up his protection.
They need that. I think they need an offensive coordinator that really can work with Caleb and with his talents. I think that's lacking. And a head coach. I think they need a brand new head coach. You got to basically start from scratch. Now I read today that Pete Carroll's possibly interested in the position. I don't know if Chicago would go that route.
Yeah.
But he's a guy. He's definitely established. It's a question of, does Chicago want to go with an established guy, or do you want to, see if you can find the new and coolest toy out there in college land and bring him in and see if he equates to the league? I don't know if they want to do that. So it'll be interesting to see this offseason how they go. But I think that's what what Caleb needs. He needs a good OC who can really use his talents in an offense that really fits him. And then you need a head coach who can marry it all together.
Based on how this team is constructed right now, what direction do you think they should go? Should they go with a veteran who can kind of like lay down the law, look at the rings, respect, instant respect walking through the door, or should they raid the coordinator ranks for the next hot name coming up through the system?
I think you need an OC. I think if you can I think you need to get an OC that can really work with Caleb because he's the guy who's going to work with him day in and day out. I think you find yourself a quality OC who can build an offense around him, and I think the head coach that you bring in, he's got to understand this is what we're looking to do. This are the weapons we have. This is what we want. And I think if you can find somebody who you can marry the two with, or at least somewhat compatible, I think you'll see success because there's talent on this team. It's just bad head coaching and honestly bad play calling overall.
So you think that the OC is more important than the head coach, assuming that they can't get someone like a Ben Johnson that kind of fills both roles.
And that's the thing. You don't know if you're going to be able to get him. Like if
Yeah.
you could sit there and say, guarantee, yeah, Ben Johnson's coming to Chicago after the season, whatever happens, he wants the job, then okay, then you're all set. Just finish off the season and you're good to go. Of course, you're not going to know that because that's tampering and all that mumbo jumbo. Yeah. If you could guarantee it, then yeah. But who knows? Maybe he's like, you know what? I don't know if I want that Chicago job. We don't know if he decides, you know what? No, I like being a coordinator. If they're going to pay me a ton of money, I'll stay here and be a coordinator. Why do I want the headaches of being a head coach when I can just coach the offense and just do my thing? And then maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, decide to go head coach.
And I'm closer to a Super Bowl here in Detroit than I am if I were to take the Bears gig or some, the Cardinals if they move on, or the Raiders, other place.
He may say, what I do offensively, maybe he's like, that doesn't fit Chicago. Maybe I don't want that. I don't want to go through the growing pains. So that's one of those situations too. Unless you guaranteed the prize you want, and you don't go that route. So I think if you can get yourself an OC, if it's a guy who can be the head coach, then great. But if not, you want to get that offensive set up because the defense is not bad. It's not a horrible defense, but the offense is horrible, so your defense is going to struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, that like we always say, you're on the field too long. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Exactly.
Quick programming note. Since we went live after this Christmas doubleheader, we will not be live Thursday as usual, but we will do an extra show following this NFL Network triple header on Saturday before our usual show, wrapping up all the action on Sunday. Bucks McGee, Merry Christmas again, sir. I wish we got some better games, but nonetheless, here we are. Take us off air with your final thoughts.
Well, everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hope everyone was healthy, happy. You got what you wanted. If you're Chiefs and Baltimore fans, you definitely did get what you wanted for Christmas. Texans, I don't know what you guys did wrong, but you guys were definitely on the naughty list. And Steelers fans, enjoy that coal because that's all you got.